Good evening. Welcome to Mindful Vespers here at the Southwest Mission. My name is Matthew. I'm here with Greg. And we are honored, excited, and eager to practice with you tonight. Our practice is both our own, and it's also something it can only be by this combination of folks gathered here, gathered with us online, and even joining us later in the week. So thank you for bringing your intention, bringing your experience and your story. We say that this time is an inter-practice time, an inter-spiritual time. And while we might drop some language that is specific to different traditions like Buddhism or Christianity or Zen or all of those, we invite you to hear that language not as an imposition but as an expression of each of our individual stories. God language often tells a story, and we're going to explore that a bit tonight. But to hear that as an invitation to say, well, I wonder how that resonates with my own story and my own words, and to know that wherever you're at on your journey, whether you have a tradition or not, whether you're a beginner practitioner or an experienced one, we're glad you've joined us tonight for this half-hour practice where we'll do a little bit of a warm-up, and then we're going to explore something called, in some traditions, called apophatic meditation, which is about how do we use words to kind of move some words out of the way, to open up our experience in our mind so we can get beyond kind of these pictures that limit our vision and then open up space. So I'm going to hand it over to Greg to get us started. If you have a pair of headphones handy and you want to put those on, you might get a better sound quality. If you want to light a candle or find a comfortable way to sit wherever you're joining us, now's a great time to do that. And Greg's going to help us to get into our practice tonight.
All right, so as you're hearing four of me, as Matthew said, we're exploring how language helps us, how it traps us, how we can use it to break itself a little bit tonight. We're gonna have some fun with a number of phrases and a number of things to play with in your brain. I'm playing around tonight. My practice is a little bit centered around ideas of intention and grasping. So we'll use some of that language later. Like, what's the difference between those? And when do you feel like you're doing one of them, and when do you feel like you've sort of slipped into the other? But I want to start us off with just some wordless vocalizing. So if to you that's an ohm, or just a hum, or it can get as complicated as using some various syllables and singing to yourself. You know, we are all singers. Singing is our birthright, and I think it's important. It helps us just connect to our body and get a little bit out of our head. You know, a couple weeks ago we talked about the default mode network. It's this portion of your brain that deals with the past and the future and thinking about your ego and your place, and is full of anxiety, and some of the ways out of it is to dive into curiosity. And so as we do this sort of initial few minutes, try to find constantly things to be curious about. If you start humming, what does that resonation feel like in your resonance, feel like in your body? How is it interacting with the sounds that we're making? You can just keep your ears focused on our sound and use those sounds as sort of an object of meditation. So we're just going to keep this little nice loop going and add some sounds to it. I invite you to take a few deep breaths. We'll have plenty of time to interpret, to reflect later. For now, just give yourself full permission to say yes to what's happening, to say yes to vibrating in your body. Good. Flutter your eyes. Oh, turn off your vocal effects. Come back to the space. There is no such thing as a bad meditation session. It's all data. We're so glad you're here practicing with us. And Matthew's going to talk to us about apophatic meditation and get us started with our sort of main practice for the night.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I love about singing like that and just making noises and vocalizations and like the om syllable is that it unplugs us from one of our many default mode networks that we have. We talked about that a few weeks ago, these kind of programs, or what some traditions call the false self or the ego run amok, or even our idols, if you will. Singing like with vocalizations rather than words, it enables us to do things we wouldn't do otherwise. It inspires us to be a little bit more free and wild, and maybe to go into places and syllables and parts of our body that we wouldn't usually if we're trying to, say, chant in Latin or follow a particular set of notes. And even though language is often really helpful as a starting place for meditation, as the philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein once said, pictures can hold us captive. Our words can hold us captive. They can be as much of a limiting ceiling as they are a door that opens. Sometimes they serve us, sometimes we don't. There's traditions, such as in the monastic tradition of Christianity, called the via positiva, or a discursive meditation, where we use words or a guide or some sort of mantra to help us to visualize or use our imagination or to repeat. And that can be really helpful in certain circumstances. But there's also this other tradition called the via negativa, or the apophatic tradition, where we try to use words in order to remove words. We try to see the limits of our imagination, or as Peter Rollins, a theologian I enjoy, says, we find the idolatry we have inside of us. The idolatry of, say, the word God, right? If you're someone who uses that word. how much that word limits us as much as it might lead us in a certain direction. And all the stuff that we package into that word, all of the meanings and experiences and ego stereotypes and personal prejudices that we have packed into a word, so that even though we're trying to use it in a liberating, life-giving way, it can also end up imprisoning us or stopping us. Apophatic meditation, I like to compare it to like playing Tetris with words, right? In the video game Tetris, you're dropping blocks into this space, but you're not doing it just to add more blocks into that space, right? Because if you drop too many in there, it ends up getting really cluttered and clogged, and eventually it fills up, and then you lose the game, right? But the best moves in Tetris are when you drop a block skillfully into place such that it removes a whole line, and sometimes even 4 or 5 lines. In apophatic meditation, like in poetry, the ideal is to use a word in such a way that it clears space. It opens up that channel to being more present to that which we can't vocalize, that which is beyond our current stage of development or practice, that which enables us to transcend, and also at the same time to be more present to the immediacy of the moment. It's an experimentation, right? And it's a part of many different traditions. Like, you may have heard the story of the Buddha who said, if you see the Buddha on the road, kill him, right? Kill your darlings is a phrase we say. It's this idea of testing our language, testing our assumptions, testing our prejudices. It's actually, for all of its mystical overtones, it's a very scientific way of going about exploring the contours of how language functions in us, how words function with us. So we're going to try a little experiment tonight. I invite you to be a mystical scientist, if you will, a scientist of your own language and how it has served us and also how it hasn't served us. As Greg will say, intention is grasping, and we might be intending to meet God in our meditation or to achieve, a mindless, empty state, a selfless state. But that intention itself, right, can become one of those blocks that can gum us up if we're not careful. And it's okay. It's a game. That's why I use Tetris for it. It's a game and it's an experiment, because as humans, we're always going to have to use language. So it's not a matter of if we can transcend language, but how we can become more aware of how sometimes our best intentions can also be our greatest limits. And it's an opportunity to interrogate that and say, I wonder what happens if I can get beyond this and unplug from that default mode network and get into a different part of my interior life and see how that affects my meditation. So tonight we want to teach you a very basic practice. This is part of many different traditions, including lots of just, I think, it's a great way to test a hypothesis of language, if you will. It's an experiment. So we're going to take a phrase, and it's basically an equation. It goes something like this. X is Y, X being a noun and Y being an adjective, okay? So, and it's helpful if you choose an X, a noun that is really like meaningful and even like kind of impactful for you, right? So for this exercise, so like a word like God, that's a loaded word, right? Or a word that we're going to use tonight is a word like love, because love is a loaded word, right? It has so much subjective experience tied into it. So let's use love as our noun. And you might say something like, love is agreement. Love is not agreement. Love is not agreement. Right? Because you might say, wait, love it's agreeing with one another, right? I think Jesus might have said that, agree with one another, but what happens if agreement leads to oppression, or it's a forced agreement, or it's not a truthful agreement? Then love sometimes isn't, right? Sometimes it's a conflict. Sometimes it's a disagreement in love. But it's also not either of those things, right? It's something beyond. Because then we could interrogate the word agreement, right? We could keep going with that. But so, right, that's the equation. Love is not. Love is not. Love is safe. Love is not safe. Love is not safe. like a Zen koan. It's a chance to dwell in that space. And you can either really analyze those words, or you can also, without judgment, without any kind of preconception, without premonition, just let these words flow out of you. So as we play, we're going to drop adjectives in that equation. Love is not, and love is not. We invite you also, if you have adjectives, you can either type them in the chat, or you can just use your own adjectives, right? Or you can just stick with one of those if you like safe, for example, and just say it over and over again, because maybe you need to convince yourself, right? Like, love is motherly. We said Mother's Day, right? Love is not motherly, for some of us especially. But love is not motherly. It's beyond motherly too. Love is fatherly, right? Love is masculine. Love is feminine. Love is queer. So what's the first thing that comes into mind when you say love is? Or what are the first couple of words? You can jot them down, write them down, make a list, and you can always come back to them later. You could meditate on the concept of love for weeks and months and years and even decades and never come to the end of it. But hopefully it opens us up to see that some of the things that make us afraid of these big concepts are just limits of language, and that it's something beyond our experience, even though it starts with our experience. So for the next 8 to 10 minutes, we're going to play some music and invite you to continue to practice this apophatic meditation with the word love is not, love is not.
Love is changing. Love is not changing. Love is not changing. Love is grasping. Love is not grasping. Love is not grasping. Intention is grasping. Intention is not grasping. Intention is not grasping. For the last 2 minutes, just let go of all intentions. Let go of any need to be anywhere, to think anything.
Thank you for joining us tonight for our practice. Thanks, Greg. Thanks all you at home. Thanks to Josh for running our online on Zoom. If you'd like to join us now, we're going to gather on Zoom, and there's a link in the comments that I threw down there at the beginning. And we'll have a short time of conversation, connection, where you can reflect on the practice or wherever you're at this week, or something you wanted to share on that topic or another one. We'd love to meet you, build community around this, and continue to go deeper together. We'll be back here every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And again, if you know someone who might enjoy this or benefit from it, we'd love for them to join us as well. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week, and go in peace.